Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to continue with our unconventional bait series. We're going to talk about lipless crankbaits like this guy right here. This is a Berkeley War Pig with laser sharp Fusion 19 hooks that continue to get stuck in my hand. One of my favorite lipless. And most people out there would say to throw a lipless crankbait across shallow flats, maybe a grass flat where you can rip it free. But I'm here to tell you that most anglers are not taking advantage of the full potential of a lipless crankbait, and they're not throwing them in any of these other areas. It really is an extremely versatile bait. In my opinion, one of the most versatile baits that we have, and a tool that is just a phenomenal fish catcher, not just for bass, but for pretty much all game fish species. I really love throwing these. I have one tied on almost year round, and I'm going to give you a few areas where I really like to fish them that very few other anglers are fishing them. Before I do get into it, though, I want to remind you, if you're looking to support the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Great way to show your support. Also, if you need to purchase some tackle, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link to make those tackle purchases. Everything I make from that comes right back to the channel, and it's a great way to show your support. All right, so let's talk about some unconventional places to fish a lipless crankbait. The first place I got to tell you is one I think most anglers would probably frown upon. Most people are intimidated to even fish in the first place, and that is in shallow rapids. What I mean by that is actually areas where you are fishing heavy current, where there is some water disbursement. You got whitecaps. I'm talking specifically rapids, things you can't get other like boats up even. The type of place where you'd see kayakers coming down. One of the keys to this bait is it has really good motion as it's coming through very fast moving water. So I like to fish them, cast them upstream at about a 45-degree angle, let the current take it down as I'm retrieving it, and this bait will just bump off those rocks. But the key here is the bait doesn't necessarily want to drop as you retrieve it. So if you're fishing a crankbait, that crankbait's going to want to dive down into the rocks. A lipless is going to want to ride over the tops of it. So if you're keeping your bait moving while the current's taking it, generally speaking, the bait will come through those rocks really well without getting snagged. Now, anytime you're fishing heavy current like that, you're always going to get snagged with some baits, specifically if you let your bait fall to the bottom, because that current will push it right into any sort of crack in those rocks. But if you keep this bait moving, it will come across the top of those rocks really well, and you'll be amazed at how successful it can be in water that's only that deep, and how many fish live in those little eddies and places where they're waiting for an easy meal. The sound of a lipless crankbait, they're so loud, they give off so much vibration, they give the fish a good opportunity to locate them in that heavy current. So if you've got a local small river or a place with really fast moving water in your area, I highly suggest throwing a lipless crankbait in some of those places. So another place I love to fish them that a lot of people do not is kind of the exact opposite of that. It's fishing them on deeper ledges. I really like to fish them in a lot of places where anglers are throwing a crankbait or some sort of dragging bait. One of the keys with a lipless is it sinks, right? So if you want to fish a ledge that's in 20 feet of water, you can throw it out, let it drop right to the bottom. And at that point, I like to give it more of that yo-yo retrieve where I'll actually pull it up, let it fall back to the bottom, pull it up, let it fall back down. And I'm giving it that stair-step motion, and that works in two instances. It works both going downhill, so if you're casting on top of the ledge and you want to work it deeper, you can absolutely do that. But it, it also works really well to do uphill. So you cast to the bottom of the ledge, work it up the ledge, and up on top of the ledge. Great way to generate strikes, really good bait to uh, get inactive fish to commit to it. Do you get the reaction strikes out of them that a lot of other slower moving baits will will not do? So definitely give a lipless a try on some of those ledges. A third place where I like to throw a lipless is on shell beds and shallow gravel bars. A lipless, again, is a really good bait. It coming through that shallow gravel, it coming through that shell, creating a disbursement, shooting a lot of different sediment around, and it does a good job at attracting fish that are on that shell bed to feed in the first place. And a lipless is just a really good bait to generate those strikes from those fish. So I love to fish them. Generally speaking, if it's going to be, I'll say 6 feet of water or less, I pretty much use a straight retrieve, trying to maintain some bottom contact. If it's deeper than that, a lot of times I'll impart that yo-yo action where I let it hit the bottom, I stroke the rod up, get the bait 3-4 feet off the bottom, let it fall back down. And if there's active feeding fish there, generally speaking, that's a great way to get them to bite. Another thing I love to do with these is fish them for schooling fish. So I might be fishing over 100 feet of water, but if I've got fish that are schooling, a lipless is a great bait for a couple of reasons. One, I can retrieve them extremely fast through those areas where the fish are feeding, keep the bait up higher, get those fish to commit to it. And more importantly, though, I can get to those fish. A lot of times your lipless crankbaits, you can throw an extremely long distance because of how heavy they are. And from that standpoint, anytime you're fishing schooling fish, the further you can cast your bait, the better. You can get to those fish that are far away from the boat or from shore, wherever you're fishing. And a lipless is a good bait at doing that. At the same time, a lot of times you got to recognize when you have schooling fish, you have fish that are busting bait balls. And a lot of times you need your bait to stand out from that bait because there's so much bait in that area. Well, a lipless creates so much vibration, so much noise that it allows the fish to hone in on your bait. But I love throwing like a chrome colored one anytime I'm fishing schooling fish. And then the last place where a lot of people do not fish one is for suspended fish around standing timber. I like to fish a lipless anywhere you've got standing timber. That could be in 4 feet of water, could be in 20 feet of water, but it's a really good bait to be able to fish at the level that those fish are suspended. So if you're fishing, 15 foot of water, a lot of times those fish will suspend down 7-8 feet. A lipless is a good bait to do that, and it's a really good bait to deflect off a bunch of that standing pole timber. Just been really successful for me. It's generated a lot of good bites. I think a lot of those fish are used to seeing slower moving baits, but if you can get a bait that moves faster in front of them, they're going to be willing to commit to it. And I've just had a lot of really good luck fishing around standing timber with lipless crankbaits where those fish are suspended much higher up in the water column. So give that a try. If that's something that you have in your lake, any of these situations, which pretty much all 5 of them, you're going to have a couple of them probably no matter what part of the country you're in. But I can assure you a lipless is a year-round bait that can be used in almost every situation. It's a very, very versatile bait. So if you're not using them enough, you might want to throw them a little bit more. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And stay tuned. We'll have another video coming out tomorrow for you.